technology that is built for your every sense. Acer Pure from Acer.
Now let's turn our attention to what's been happening in the courts. The Karnataka High Court, remember, had dismissed a petition that had called on not inviting, essentially basically had objected to the invitation that had been extended to Banu Mushtaq, the Booker Prize winner, who had been invited by the Karnataka state government to preside over the celebrations of Dasara in Karnataka at the Chamundeshwari temple. Now, of course, there's a petition that's been filed in the Supreme Court following the Karnataka High Court dismissing that petition that had basically said that since she is a non-Hindu and somebody who does not practice the religion, she ought not to have been invited by the state government to that celebration. Now, the matter has gone to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court is expected to hear this petition tomorrow, or the appeal rather, against the Karnataka High Court judgment. Let me go across to my colleague Harish now for more on this. Harish, it was a detailed order that was passed by the Karnataka High Court that had dismissed a petition that was filed by a member of Parliament, Pratap Sinha himself, that had objected to Banu Mushtaq being invited to preside over the celebrations of Goddess Chamundeshwari on the occasion of Dasara. Now, that petition had been dismissed. There's another petition that's now been filed in the Supreme Court. Take us through what that petition says.
Yes, that's right, Siddharth. The Mysuru Dasara inauguration row has now reached the Supreme Court with one advocate and petition person, H.S. Gaurav, moving the Supreme Court, challenging the Siddaramaiah government's decision to call Karnataka-based Booker Prize winner Banu Mushtaq for inaugurating this ceremony, which will happen in the Chamundeshwari temple, Sanctum Sanctorum. He has argued that the ceremony involves the venue will be the Sanctum Sanctorum of the Chamundeshwari temple, and the pundits will be involved. It has to take place as per the Hindu tradition. Therefore, a non-Hindu cannot inaugurate the festival. Since tomorrow is a Friday and Monday, and the matter can only be then later heard Monday and Monday morning.
I need to interrupt you there for a moment. Do stay with us because we have the petitioner himself, Mr. H.S. Gaurav, who's joined us on the phone line. Good afternoon to you, Mr. Gaurav. Mr. Gaurav, now the Karnataka High Court had passed a fairly detailed order which had essentially allowed Banu Mushtaq to be part of the Dasara celebrations for which she'd been invited as a chief guest on the part of the Karnataka state government. It had gone into several reasons as to why the petition did not stand, and therefore that petition had been dismissed. Now, what's your new claim before the Supreme Court, and how have you tried to counter the observations or the order that's been passed by the Karnataka High Court?
The only counters that we have is this is the inauguration which is happening in the which is happening in the Chamundeshwari temple. Correct. In the Sanidhi of the Chamundeshwari temple, this inauguration is happening, and this is not a mere ribbon cutting inauguration. Inauguration means there's a Diyaradhane, there's a Pushparchane, and apart from that, Goddess Chamundeshwari deity will be there in presence and in the premises of the Chamundeshwari temple. This inauguration is going to happen. So these inauguration is supposed to happen according to the Agama traditions and Agama Shastras and the Hindu culture which is being followed from centuries in the Chamundeshwari temple. So this is the ground for our argument, and basis on this ground itself, we have moved to the Supreme Court through special leave petition. Yes.
Mr. Gaurav, just a quick follow-up. Now, I'm sure you've also gone through the judgment of the Karnataka High Court that had dismissed Mr. Pratap Sinha's petition, among others. Now, the reasoning that was given by the court there was, A, that we're a secular state. Second, that this is a state festival. So essentially, the tax-paying citizens of Karnataka are funding this particular festival, and therefore, for a state festival, you can't be imposing restrictions of the kind that have been asked for by the likes of Pratap Sinha or for you now that you've filed this petition in the Supreme Court. Now, what's your counter to that specific rejoinder coming from the Karnataka High Court itself, that this is a state festival, and in a state festival, even though you might be holding a celebration of a religious nature, you can't be distinguishing between who's a Muslim, who's not, when it comes to inviting somebody as the chief guest to preside over that particular celebration?
So the current invitee is an excellent person. I don't have any second word about it. And what I'm saying is, the inauguration is happening as per the Hindu traditions. The priest is involved in the inauguration. There's goddess Chamundeshwari deity in the premises of the temple. And there are other several Agama traditions which are being followed during the inauguration. It is not just a mere ribbon cutting inauguration.
Correct.
There are, as I told, there are Diya Aradhane, Diya lighting will be happening by the inaugurator, and Pushparchane will be done by the inaugurator in the first.
Okay.
And Pushparchane also has this Kunkuma and Harshina, which is called Haldi Chandan in Hindi. So these are the inauguration procedures which is happening from centuries, and these are going to continue. So only based on this, I am before the Supreme Court, sir.
One final question to you, Mr. Gaurav, because this was something that was also discussed and deliberated during the Karnataka High Court proceedings as well. And this was a submission made by the state government too, which is that Mr. Nisar Ahmed, great Kannada literary icon, had been invited by the then state government also, in fact, under Siddaramaiah in 2017, to preside over the Dasara celebrations as well. And he did. And he did partake in the same rituals that you're currently talking about. So are you basically trying to say that that invitation extended to Mr. Nisar Ahmed was wrong as well? Because he too is of course, a non-Hindu who did preside over those celebrations. Is your prayer also that the invitation extended to him was also wrong?
He was a very good poet, and he has written about Lord Krishna. And he has a very good knowledge about the Hindu tradition and the Hindu festivals which we do. And he himself had done the Pushparchane to the deity. Because of this, he had written poems on Lord Krishna. So because of this, we didn't have any objection to that, because he is a believer of it. So when a person is believing it, we didn't have any objection. As compared to the present inaugurator, she had done few past comments in 2023 about the goddess Bhuvaneshwari, which we celebrate as a Kannada festival, the Kannada language and the Kannada Bauta, that is the Kannada flag. So Madam had done several comments with respect to that. So only basis on these, I just am able to differentiate between the inaugurators. Okay,
Mr. Gaurav, we'll wait and see as to how this pans out in the Supreme Court, where the hearing is slated to be held. And we'll see what kind of arguments and counter-arguments are in fact presented in court. This is, of course, a petition that's been filed in the Supreme Court to essentially disallow Banu Mushtaq from being invited as a chief guest to preside over the Dasara celebrations. Let me go back once again to my colleague Harish, who, of course, was taking through the details of that petition as well. So, Harish, when I did ask the petitioner as to how this particular petition is different from the previous one and what's his counter to the Supreme Court, now he's essentially premising his entire petition on 2 points. One is, of course, the fact that Banu Mushtaq happens to be a non-Hindu and therefore also not a believer in goddess Chamundeshwari. And therefore, there are certain prathas and agamas, etc., which need to be practiced, certain rituals that need to be partaken, which a non-Hindu is not well versed with doing, and if she is not a believer, then she should not be allowed to do.
Yes, that's right, Siddharth. We should remember what the Karnataka High Court had said dismissing the petition which was filed in the High Court challenging the inauguration by a non-Hindu. The Karnataka High Court had said that the interfaith participation in a festival in a secular state, it does not violate the constitution. And this petitioner points out that this particular ceremony has to be conducted in the sanctum sanctorum of goddess Chamundeshwari, and it also involves Hindu tradition. There will be a Panditji, and at this juncture, how can a non-Hindu person like Banu Mushtaq be allowed to inaugurate?
As to how this pans out in the Supreme Court as well.